Good evening. I have the pleasure and privilege to introduce today's speaker, Major General M. Indrabalan, a war veteran of the Kargil War 1999, who has had a distinguished military career of 37 years, spanning counterinsurgency operations in J&K, high altitude battlefields of Ladakh, Thar deserts of Rajasthan, mountains of the Northeast region, and the United Nations in the jungles of Africa. He holds a BSc, BTech, MSc, MBA, and an MPhil degree and is an alumnus of the College of Military Engineering and IIT Kharagpur. An ardent sportsman and adventure lover, he was a member of the sailing expedition in 1989 when they circumnavigated the globe in a small yacht without a GPS. His role in rescue operations in Shirur Karwar and Wayanad landslides, deploying his high tech drone based intelligent buried object detection system DIBODS, was covered extensively by regional and national media. He has made many candid appearances in CNN News 18 and regional Tamil and Malayalam channels on the Agnipath scheme, voluntary military training, and OP and Operation Sindoor. His pitch for indigenization of core electronics in CNN News 18 caught national attention. He advises six drone companies on developing military applications. He is an independent director with a mutual fund and aerospace manufacturing firm. He launched NCC Udan and produced and curated an iconic play, OP 1971, on Indo-Pak War, which incidentally has our events director Sabri playing a leading role. He recently founded the Confederation for Indigenization of Drones, Autonomous Platforms, and Robos, SIDAR, and has created a new normal driving drone industry to adopt indigenization. It's a pleasure and privilege to welcome you, sir. Please. And this is the second appearance in CIC. He was earlier with us talking to us about the Bangladesh crisis. And so it's a pleasure to have him back here.
Yeah. Am I audible right behind? Is it too much echo? Echo? All right? Oh, good. I like the audience sitting behind. Again, the student lot. Were you all there last time? Same Sishya. Sishya and which are the school college? All right. Good. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Chandramouli, for this introduction. I only hope I deserve half of the introduction he did. And thank you, Mr. Lakshmi Narayan, the trustee, and Mr. Anand for having me over here. It's a great pleasure to be here and see a full house. I would say almost near full house. I'm sure by the time we get going, the house will be fully occupied. I know amongst the audience there will be distinguished people who probably know much more than what I know about Operation Sindoor, except that I'm standing on the stage today. So I will say what I have to say. But I don't like to have a monologue because I don't like my voice. That's the worst part. So what I would try and do is give you an introduction of what I think was Operation Sindoor so that we all recapitulate what happened during Operation Sindoor for some of us. Because news is such today that one day news is old news. And today Trump tariff is the hot news, so Sindoor is old news, right? So for you to get out of Trump tariff because that has occupied the mind space all over, I'm going to go back to Sindoor for a while, but we quickly recapitulate what it was. And then I'll make a few candid statements, and then we'll have a good candid question answer session. No holds bar. You can ask any question you want. Of course, response is my responsibility. That we'll see what I can respond to or not. So here we get going. Operation Sindoor, as you all see, it was a incident that shook the world, and definitely it kind of moved the whole nation. And we came up with a beautiful title called Sindoor, which touched the hearts of millions of Indians, and especially the better halves in our lives. I think that drove the military and everyone else to do some amazing acts. So we remember what all happened there. And I want to thank Major Madan for having put together this presentation on my request and having shared it with me. You all know Major Madan, right? He's very active on YouTube. And he's doing a great job too. Next. So these are the pictures that we remember of Operation Sindoor. Recently, I met Arati. Arati is daughter of Mr. Ramachandran Menon, who's from Ernakulam, and he was one of the first people to be shot down in Pahalgam. And when this happened, immediately after his he being killed, I was called by one friend in America, a common friend of Mr. Ramchandran, who called me and said, listen, his daughter and children are there, mother, wife is there. Can you help them? I said, let me see what I can do. So he gave me, passed the number to me. I called Aarti. She came up online. By then she had, it's almost, I think, half day had passed. And I spoke to her. I said, listen, Aarti, I'm so and so and so. I'm an army general. I've served in this area quite a bit. I have lots of friends there. My batchmate is kind of commanding the command there. So if there's anything I can do, let me know. You know what she said? She said, sir, I'm quite okay right now. I've lost my father. But then for me, it's more important that I don't lose my mother. And therefore, my only request to you is don't release it. Don't tell the media. And please tell the military and the media not to announce in TV anywhere that my father's no more, because then I lose my mother. I have to get her back home to safety, make sure that she's in the comfort of the people. Only then I want to announce this. I mean, this was something. And then I said, that's fine, but how can I help you with things? He says, no, everything is taken care of. Military is here. We are being taken care of. I'm not going for the funeral ceremony where the Home Minister is coming, because I don't want my mother to know what's happened. And then she closed the discussion by saying, Jai Hind. I mean, in such a state, when this girl, woman of 2 children, twins, has seen her father being shot right in front of her at point blank range, literally what you hear in a phrase, at point blank range like this, by asking to say kalma, and he could not. And she has gone through that horrifying incident with her 2 children watching, not knowing whether the children will be spared or not, whether she'll be spared or not. But she stood there. She didn't run away because she wanted to protect her father. Thereafter, she ran with the children, and then just 3 days back, I promised her that when I come to Kochi, I'll come and look her up. And I went to her house just to meet her in a very quiet environment. Her mother was still shattered, but this girl is holding strong. And she had full conversation with me. She ran through the entire incident minute by minute with me, because I wanted her out of it so that she can speak to someone. And at the end, she is holding the family together. Now, that is the kind of courageous people we have in this nation, and that's why the Sindoor that I say has been very aptly named. Now, going back to the next one, yeah, please go ahead. So these are some of the pictures that we are aware of, that Prime Minister taking the CCS meeting and meeting of the chiefs along with the NSA. Go next. So fortunately, this time the world responded more favorably to India. Some of them were neutral responses, but many were supportive responses. Some of them were quiet. But compared to Kargil or compared to 71 war, what was distinctly different was that the world responded favorably. And India stood strong immediately after Pahalgam attack. Next. So the mission began. And it began after a huge silence, like the lull before the storm. I think almost for about 10 days, none of us knew what was happening, and we were all blasting the media, and the media was blasting back, and everything was happening. The government was quiet, the military was quiet. And one fine day I was woken up in the morning on the 7th by media people saying, sir, we want you to give us bites. All over, I had about 20 media backing me up. I didn't know what was happening because I was myself surprised. I didn't know this was happening. Though I'm from the military, I keep speaking to people what's happening, but I didn't have a single idea what was happening. That is the strength of a military, to keep secrets. As a general like me, with my batchmate sitting there, I didn't know what was going to happen. This is the strength of a military. So we chose 21 targets, but we hit only 9. That's why when someone says, or the Prime Minister said, that Sindoor ko sthagit kar diya gaya hai, means it's temporarily halted, is because there are only 9 targets which are stuck. 21 are still on the list. Next. The good part here, go back please. The interesting part here to be noticed, which I'm sure all of you would have also realized, is that since 71 war, this is the first time that we hit mainland Pakistan. And that was very evident here. And we hit the terrorist camps in mainland Pakistan. Whether it was a surgical strike there or whatever strikes have happened in the past, it was all primarily striking only the POK. But striking the mainland Pakistan was a big surprise to all of us, apart from the fact that we had struck 9 places. Next. Yeah, so these are the terrorists who were gunned down, and the various terrorist organizations, whether it is the LET or it is the Lashkar-e-Taiba or it is the Jaish-e-Mohammed or Hizbul Mujahideen. We've read all these names. I've just put it across for you to just recollect. That's all. I'm not going to brief who they are. Indicate they don't deserve any mention, right? Next. So all these things happened. So just go through what all happened because I don't want to waste much time. So Bahawalpur was one of the major strikes. The headquarters of JM headquarters, it was struck down. We had a huge missile strike there. A lot of people died, and as a result, they had to actually hold a funeral ceremony. Next. Now, where would you get to see something like this in India? Where the military leadership is standing shoulder to shoulder with terrorist organization recognized by the world, not by India alone. And that is the kind of impunity that the Pakistan military operates with. Go next. Well, so May 7th is what happened. To be very frank, we didn't expect Pakistan to retaliate so much, but we knew they will do something because after all, they are not a small puny state. They are a military power to reckon with. And they are a military power headed by military, not by civilian authority like India. So the military can decide anything what they want to do. And I have a feeling that Munir has been planning this for some time. And he knew something like this will happen and he was expecting that to happen. And he was prepared to strike back. And he did strike back. What did they do? They hit Jammu and Poonch. And what did they hit? They hit India with large number of missiles as well as drones. This was kind of a, I would say, surprise that Pakistan had assembled so many drones by then. And that strike was primarily on two targets, one church and one Gurdwara, I think, and lots of military targets right in the front line, not causing much of a damage though, and not that you will ever know how much damage it caused. But this became the first ever drone battle between two nations. May 9th. So when Pakistan struck back and it continued to strike Indian positions, I think that's why by then the CCS and the military hierarchy had taken decision that we have to strike back hard. And that strike changed the whole game. That strike led to the launch of BrahMos and Scalp missiles into the Pakistani air, including Noor Khan, Sargodha, Rafiki, Murid and all the major areas. Now this is a strike which changed the whole battle space. Why? Because one, we had destroyed their HQ-9 radar of their equivalent of S-400 system, because of which they were striking at Indian forces. And thereafter, we had struck 11 military targets. Now that was unimaginable. Again, on the 10th morning, I was woken up by media calls and my friends calling me all over as if I knew anything about what was happening inside. So, but the fact is that we had stuck military targets on standoff attacks and big time, not sending small missiles or something. And those strikes decided the future course of war, where it is going to go to. Next. So these are those strikes. You can see Bahawalpur terror strike, how it happened, what all happened there. Different airfields also I will show you next. Yeah, so these are some of the, we're calling Pakistan's nuclear bluff. We're talking of the entrance of Sargodha, that is near Kirana Hills. There is also, so these strikes resulted in a panic situation, not only for Pakistan, but also for powers, world powers to reckon with. Needless to say, Trump announced that he got the ceasefire done. For good or bad reason, we don't know whether to accept what Trump said. But if Trump did say this, that he got the ceasefire done between India and Pakistan, I'm sure during the question and answer session you will want to know more. There must be a reason why he had to say this. It is not just to win Nobel Peace Prize, right? There must be something beyond that. So that's where we stand. And as far as India is concerned, I think we have maintained stoically and categorically that the ceasefire happened because the DGMO Pakistan called and asked for a ceasefire. That was the reason for India accepting a ceasefire for whatever good or bad reasons. We will debate whether the ceasefire should have been accepted, what else could have been done, what were the options for India, could he have done more, should we have stopped? There are umpteen number of questions, I know. We'll see if we can debate all this or talk about all this. Next. Nuclear bluff. For those who are not aware of what is nuclear bluff, anyone knows what's nuclear bluff? Yeah, good girl, go ahead. What do you mean by nuclear bluff? What's your name? Etha. Edha, yeah, Edha, go ahead. Okay, this is not a question session, so they're not prepared to the mic. Let us speak louder.
Okay, am I audible?
Yeah.
Alright. So as much as I understand by nuclear bluff is when a nuclear power reckons to use their nuclear force against another member state. But of course they can't do some stuff like that because as we know Pakistan is a signee of the NPT, which is the non-proliferation treaty, and they also follow this whole system where they don't launch a nuclear strike before if any other country does not launch a nuclear strike on them, they can't launch a nuclear strike either. So it was a bluff by Pakistan where they said that if India doesn't stop their airstrike and their drone strikes, they will have to use their nuclear power.
Good. I think we should give her a big hand for a girl of a size and age to know so much about nuclear philosophy. Good. So the India's nuclear doctrine obviously says the no first use policy, and Pakistan policy does not say anything of that sort. If the nation is threatened, they said they will strike. But as we have said, we will not. So even during Kargil, I fought the Kargil war for 3 full months. And leave alone strike into mainland Pakistan, we didn't even cross the border. We were fighting with our hands on the back. Because if, as I rightly said, if you don't give freedom to the military to operate the way you want, as per their operational and tactical plans, you will not have the operational and tactical advantage, and you will end up fighting a war of attrition and lose lives, weapons, and munitions and warlike stores. So Kargil war was like that because one, we started the fight even without being prepared for a fight like that, because India was never trained. I mean, I'm saying this as a military man today candidly, that the military was never trained for an offensive operation in mountains. We have never trained. The last we trained was during the 62 war. That also not training. We had sent our forces there and they still managed to do a decent job. Even thereafter, we didn't learn our lessons and we have not created any offensive formations to fight offensive battles at that 18,000, 20,000 feet. But we had to go for it. So even then, we did not cross the line. One of the reasons was this, thinking that Pakistan possibly can do something. And thereafter, all the things that we did, all the strikes that we did across, was one of the reasons was this nuclear overhang, that they may play the card and we could be in deep trouble. And we know what a nuclear devastation can be. A single subatomic 20 KT bomb can destroy whole of Chennai, if not much more than that. We've seen what Hiroshima does or whatever. And they have missiles which can reach anywhere. So what she says is right, that we took the chance this time to strike deep to see what they can do. And the fact that they did not charge their nuclear, facilities or start the chain reaction, possibly seems that we did call their bluff. Next. So what did India have next? So India had, this is the kind of arsenal we had tried to put together. This is a combination of Jane's Weekly, AI and media and whatever I could gather from my friends. Obviously, you will never have it from the military. Even if you try, you will never get it, right? But this is the best you can get of what we have, what is the kind of systems we have. So we have a very good range of ballistic missiles thanks to the missile man, Abdul Kalam. We have a fabulous range of missiles today. India boasts one of the best missile range that we can think of. Aircrafts we don't have of our own, naturally, because most of our aircrafts come from outside. We are still building up the LCA. But this is the comparison we have. India has about 2,229 aircrafts. And Pakistan has, for the size of Pakistan, it has larger share than what, in comparison, the ratio. Because if you see, even if you see the tanks and other things, which I'll bring out, while Indian Army may seem to be the third largest or fourth largest, depending on you compare on GDP or you compare on many other aspects, but the fact that India today has to face two fronts, and therefore, even though we may be double the size of Pakistan in many things, but our efforts tend to get divided because of the attention needed on the eastern sector. So therefore, on the western front, we are actually at par. Next. Yeah. So these are some interesting guns. So when the drone warfare hit India, they came in swarms. They had different types of drones, which I'll now come up with. But these guns that you see, these are vintage guns. The L-70 that you see was something which I saw when I was a child of 8th standard in Jodhpur, and my father was posted on an L-70 unit. That time also it was 5 years old. So which was that year? I don't want to let my age know though. But even now, this L-70 gun have been effectively used by Indian Armed Forces by refurbishing it. by putting the necessary calibration in place, by putting the necessary subsystem change in place, innovation, pure technology innovation, to use it against drones. So this L-70 guns and the Zeus 32 air defense gun and the Shilkas, which will come in the next picture, I think they were the darlings in as far as air defense is concerned. And our air defense did a fantastic role using them, because we had no other anti-drone systems, to be very frank. Though DRDO had put across certain anti-drone systems, but they were limited in numbers. Whether they were the laser variety or the beam variety or the RF variety, the different technologies were used. But obviously India was not expecting such large-scale drone invasion, so we had developed the technology limited, and it was still under trial stage when it was deployed. They also did a good job. I think it was a combination of different technologies and innovations that India used that Pakistan failed to strike us with drones in any critical manner. Next. Of course, we have now the Barak 8 missiles and the Barak interceptors, which are also well used. Next. And Zu 32 is another one I was talking of. Rudram missile did some wonderful work. Next. Akshay Tir, and the visionary who's no more with us, but he left for India a fabulous missile arsenal that we can never ever thank enough. Next. Next, please. Oh. Yeah. And of course, Prithvi Air Defense System and the BrahMos. So BrahMos was, of course, the thing that made all the impact. Now, India has both cruise missiles as well as ballistic missiles. I'm sure the audience knows the difference between the two, right? Anyone who doesn't know? Or anyone who knows? Okay. So, difference between a cruise missile and a ballistic missile is that the cruise missile travels in the nap of the earth. That means it will not take an altitude beyond 400 meters, 500 meters, 1 kilometer maximum, depending on where. So, it will generally go low on earth. Whereas a ballistic missile is shot right up. It goes up in the stratosphere, it can travel 30,000 kilometers if required, then travel across to its target, and finally hit the target as to come. So both have their own different utilities. So the BrahMos comes under cruise category. There are other missiles, Agnish, Agni and all, which comes under ballistic category. And India has a fabulous arsenal. We also need to know that when we talk of the nuclear bluff, having nuclear capability to make a nuclear fission reaction into a bomb grade, plutonium or uranium, etc., and convert this into a warhead is just one part of your nuclear capability. Now, having created that fission reaction to reach a stage of critical mass where it can explode into a chain reaction and take into a mass mode, keeping that in that safe condition, the ecosystem for that itself is huge technology. And then transporting that and putting it on a missile warhead, keeping that entire ecosystem safe and operational is another huge technology. Holding this missile somewhere away from the prying eyes of the enemy is another counterintelligence technology. And then having the ability to actually fire it, the navigation system, the rocketry system, the atmospheric heat system, all those things that it takes for a missile to fire, to have that all in place so that the nuclear explosion doesn't happen midway. All this is huge, huge technology. So if some nations claims that they are a nuclear capable power, capable state, does not mean that they're nuclear power state. Nuclear capability is very different from being nuclear powered or power to fire a nuclear weapon. So India today is capable. We are a nuclear power. We are not just nuclear capable. We can fire nuclear weapons on a triad. When I say triad, it means we can fire a nuclear weapon from a Prithvi missile, which is land-based, to an air-to-ground missile, or from a ship missile, if not from a submarine-launched missile, SLBM. If that capability is there, that is what makes a nation actually capable of deploying its nuclear power when it needs. And that's what creates the deterrence. If you don't have this, you may have the capability, but not the deterrence value. So go next. So BrahMos, interesting thing about BrahMos was once displayed in, I think, Dubai show. Has someone heard of this nice thing? And Shivtanu Pillai, right? So someone heard Shivtanu Pillai? So for those who have not heard, I'll still relate this, if you don't mind, sir. So Shivtanu Pillai is known as the father of BrahMos missiles for some good reasons. And he was there in this Dubai military arsenal show. And there was a lot of interest in BrahMos because of the capability it was kind of demonstrating. And amongst all the envoys from France, from US, from Europe and Indonesia, all were asking whether they can buy this missile and what it is all about. So I believe one Pakistani general also came. And he asked Mr. Shivtanu Pillai, can Pakistan also get to buy this? And he replied, yes, Pakistan will definitely get it, but free across the border. And this is on record. I have not created this, okay? He said it himself. You heard it, right? Yeah. I think he said this in that MMM, Madras Management Association also, right? Yeah. So this is something very interesting. So our scientists also have some good sense of humor and nationalism, right? Okay, next. Yeah, so this is India's leading tank along with Arjuna and whatnot. You have S-400. Someone recently heard what the today Air Chief announced? Anyone followed what Air Chief announced today? Yeah, so finally we have an official version where the Chief of Air Staff today announced that India has brought down at least 5 aircrafts of Pakistan. Finally it's out. So far, I don't think anyone had officially made the statement. We kept saying, yes, we did. So today the news is out. I think the chief covered a big briefing on that. We would like to go back and read about it. So we are now clear that at least 5 are down. Plus he also said even an AWAC has been shot down. Right? That's the 6th one. Yeah, so that's the news that we have now, which is celebratory in nature. Next. So these are the mainstay aircrafts of India, the Rafale and Sukhoi. Some of the characteristics are given and what these aircrafts are meant for. I'm only waiting for the day when India has their own rather than just naming them their own. Next. This INS Vikrant was another huge deterrence force. So while the Indian Army and Indian Navy was really employed in the war, but the Navy was only deployed. Now what's the difference between employment and deployment, right? Yeah, so when you say employed means he's actually fighting the war. He's been deployed in a particular place, he goes there, he's ready for the war, and employed means he starts striking and he does action. Navy was deployed in the Arabian Sea. And that is this aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier never goes alone, for those who don't know. So the Navy guys know it. So it goes as a carrier battle group, CBG, which is accompanied by frigates and aircrafts and missile corvettes and submarines and whatnot, because the aircraft carrier by itself is sitting duck, to be very frank. It's too large a machine to be not noticed. You don't even need a satellite to know, the camera is enough to know that a aircraft carrier is going. So, but the power it wields because of the aircrafts it carries and can go deep into the strike, it has to be, so it was deployed there. And why it was deployed there and not? Because if we had to go to, let's say, the 12th day, instead of May 10th, if we had to go to 12th, maybe the Vikrant would have got activated. But fortunately, we stopped on 10th. So as a result, this deterrence was another reason why possibly the ceasefire happened, because Pakistan was reminded of 1971 war, when we started with striking the Karachi harbour. The Karachi harbour was brought to not just a standstill, it was brought down to rubble. We hit Karachi harbour and hit all their ships with impunity. That's the kind of operation Indian Army had planned. Please read over it sometime. It's very interesting to see how Karachi harbour was destroyed and what we did to the ships there. So that threat which was looming on Pakistan, plus the Noor Khan, plus the Kiran Hill, plus all these airfields they had destroyed, I don't think we needed Trump to say anything. What we did was enough for things to happen. Next. Well, I'm not going to go through this. We'll just quickly run through the pictures. So this is what Pakistan has, the HQ-9, which is the radar which you destroyed in Lahore, and the L-90, the equivalent of our systems. Next. Then they have Bayraktar. And, yeah, these drones did threaten India quite a bit, quite a bit. But fortunately, I don't think we allowed them to penetrate the Indian airspace. Next. That's the defense mix of Pakistan. Pakistan was a friendly nation to America all the time. Even now it is. I think they now want to dig oil there, so they are again becoming friendly for good or bad reason. US keeps doing that. So there was a time when Pakistan was a very close vassal state of US, if not a Pakistan, if not a friendly state. And therefore, they have a huge amount of US arsenal which they have used, they've been threatening to use against India. I think the dynamics is now changing. Next. Well, I think we can stop here by looking at what is next, what could be next. Of course, I just want to show a few pictures of go next. Yeah, this is some of the leading technology things that are coming in next. Yeah, some of the missiles that India is developing, and that will go on, all these kind of ranges will keep increasing. India has a range which can now fire at 5,000 kilometers. Our missiles can go right up to China, wherever we need to go. Pakistan has 2,500, which means Chennai is still in range. Don't forget that. Next. So LRCM, this is what India's next step is coming up, long-range missiles. So we are trying to develop missiles which currently run at 1 Mach, but I think very soon they have announced that we're going to reach 3 Mach and thereafter 5 Mach. I hope you know what Mach stands for. Everyone knows, I'm sure. So Mach is like the speed of sound. 1 Mach is 330 meters per second. So our current missiles run anything between 1.5 to 2 Machs, but I think we're going to reach. Why this 5 Mach is required is because basically to avoid detection by radar, reach the targets faster, and if required, use it as a counter missile. Next. Let's also pay honor to the people who laid down their lives, who lost their lives during the war. Next. And that happened, India did celebrate, Indian Army did celebrate, but not like Pakistan Army. Indian Army celebrated internally. We never had road shows. We never went around cities announcing that we won. Whereas Pakistan Army General managed to make himself a field marshal. And that's another reason why people think that Pakistan won the war. Next. So, of course, let's remember some of the people, some of the soldiers who laid down their lives. And some wonderful work was also done by BSF. And I happened to be in a CNN News 18 panel discussion in Delhi, their flagship program, where I was talking about drones, because that's the stuff I do. And there I came across a bunch of BSF officer and their subordinate staff by her name, Commandant, somebody from North, I'm just forgetting her name. She and her 5 other lady soldiers were inside a bunker right in the forward, with the bunker being bombarded. And they were given an option to vacate and come. They did not. They stood there, bore the brunt of bombardment. Good part was that the bunker was well prepared, but the shelling was happening, it was all rumbling, things were falling, and they knew that one stronger shell came, all 5 would be gone. So they had the option to come back, but they said, no, we'll fight here, because if Pakistani soldiers come on the border area, the first people right in front line is the BSF. They are the first line of defense on the international border. Though not the other places, but international border, they are the first line of defense. They come under the army as soon as war breaks out. So some great heroic act they did. They have been duly recognized by the army chief also by giving them commendation cards. Next. Well, I think that's it. So there are a lot of video links. I'm not going to go into that. We can kind of, now that the recapitulation has happened, we can talk on many topics. We can talk on drones, we can talk on technology, we can talk of future, we can talk on what could have been done better, or what else India was options. So I now leave the house open after this short talk for a better interactive session. The house open, please. Yeah, okay, so let me answer the first question. Can you give him the mic for asking the right question? Let the people also.
We should start by asking what could we have done better?
No, for that question is a preconceived question that there was something better to be done. Okay. So, if you ask me, it's a very difficult question to answer, to be very frank, because in life you can always do something better, right? There is never end to that. But in this particular scenario, what could have been done better? To me, very frankly, the way the whole thing has gone through, I think India initially dithered on how to react, though none of us really know what happened inside the CCS meeting and chiefs meeting. And that was kind of came out from the CDS's mouth also, that we did falter at one place, or tactically falter at a place, because of which we did lose some aircrafts. I think that was an admission. Though he didn't say how many aircrafts we lost, we said losses are part of the war. Bharti also said, Air Marshal Bharti said losses are part of the war, but our pilots are safe. So, in hindsight, I can say that yes, we could have possibly saved loss of some aircrafts had we neutralized, had done SEAD known as suppression of enemy air defense. Had we done the SEAD before letting our aircrafts fly, that is definitely evident, for sure. Well, when so many military mind strategies and people are planning the war, but for me to say what could have been done better, I think it's a small mouth speaking big. But frankly speaking, Haji Pir is something which has been troubling India for a very long time. While taking POK would have been a very different game altogether, Haji Pir was taken by India in 1965 war, for those who followed the war. And it was given back under Tashkent Agreement in 66. This is a critical strategic spot. Maybe if I was in a position of decision making, I would have said that at the least, we could have attempted recapture of Haji Pir. Pass. At the least. That is one place where we are a little weak. The other place is there is one point 13,620 in Kargil. Since I fought the Kargil, I know that's a strategic spot which Pakistan is occupying, which overlooks whole of Kargil. And they have destroyed our ammunition dumps time and again from there. That's another feature we could have possibly used the opportunity to capture, and at least removed some of the, I would say, operational, I won't say limitations, but operational shortfall that we have in these areas. Of course, there are chickens, etc., which needs to be straightened. There are two chickens, we'll talk about it. But at the least, it could have been done if our military and political objective was clear. So I think our political objective was possibly clear. That's what it seems. It was. I think we have gone beyond the political objective, what it seems to me, and from there, the military objective was given, and I think that has been fairly well achieved. So apart from that, I think what the military did was something amazing. And these are the only two areas where I thought something could have been done had we had the time and the capacity. Capacity definitely we have, but the will to do it and the time to do it. But I think the ceasefire got announced a little bit more. Maybe you never know. Had Pakistan not asked for ceasefire, had it gone to May 12, 13, 14, maybe this may have happened. You never know. You never know.
Was it a ceasefire or was it a cease of operation? I think there was
Excellent. Very good question. So, sir, your name, please.
I'm Ramakrishna.
Yeah, Mr. Ramakrishnan says, was it a ceasefire or was it I think, thanks, I stand corrected. It was not a ceasefire. It was a cease of operations. I think the Prime Minister made it very clear that the operations is temporarily halted. Sthagit kar diya gaya hai. Now, people want to call it ceasefire, people, whatever they want to call it. I think India says that we have only halted Operation Sindoor, which means we can do 2.0 anytime we want. That option is there with us.
Yes. Sir, I'm clearly intrigued by what prompted President Trump to make the statement for the 25th time and still counting, I believe, that he was the one responsible to bring both the Indians and the Pakistanis to have the ceasefire. So what relevance or truth, forget the truth, what is the relevance of this comment which is made time and again, time and again?
When you speak a lie too many times, it becomes truth, sir. So, I mean, that's in the lighter vein. So that's what he's trying at. I can only make a few good guesses. Your good name, sir? Yeah, Sunil Rallan. Yeah. Mr. Sunil Rallan wants to know why is Trump repeatedly saying this. So jokes apart, what I said. From what I gathered in my discussions with my friends in the forces, which is now, I'll apply the Chatham's House rule here. You know what is Chatham's House rule? People know? No? Yeah, so Chatham House rule is, I had attended an UN function where I spoke on certain refugees. That was also a very big function, but it was under Chatham House rules. So Chatham House rule says that what I say, you can say, but don't quote me. Clear? Because I'm a former uniform person, so I can't be quoted, but you can use it for your discussions and for your own perceptions and developing your philosophies and research reports or whatever. So, I hope this is not getting recorded. So you can delete this portion. Yeah. So what I was, one of the question we asked a very senior Air Force officer as to what happened in Noor Khan, Kiran Hill. So Noor Khan, I believe, was hit by incidents because, not coincidence, by incidents because very close to Noor Khan is the Pakistani headquarters, military headquarters called Rawalpindi. So we want to send a message that we missed Rawalpindi. You understand what I mean? So when you hit something close to a target, you are showing that you have the propensity and the capability to hit that target, but you are showing that you missed it. So that's how possibly this was it. And even there are some facilities which facilitate the entire nuclearization of the bombs, which was hit. More importantly, when we asked him about the Kiran Hill, the tunnel and all those things, so he said that I don't think Indian military did it. And this is the senior Air Force officer saying. He says it doesn't look like we have done it, looks like someone else has done it. Now, why did he have to say that? Obviously, because the strategic importance of Kiran Hill is far more than any other target. Nobody's talking of any other target. And it is believed in the internal intelligence systems also that Kiran Hill houses something which is supported by a common friend of ours called USA. For not use against India, but as a countervailing, counterbalancing against Russia's ability to influence nuclear war, if ever it happens, in the Asian subcontinent. So they have nothing anywhere. And so they wanted a place where they can actually physically position a lot. And this, of course, nobody will ever accept. I don't think Trump will ever accept this. If you ask him directly also, he will not accept it. But the fact that the economic capacity of Pakistan, the technology capacity of Pakistan, and their ability to really nuclearize is very limited. I don't think we have a matching capability to that respect. So in order to make up for that, for the shortfall, this is what they do. They invite the other nations to come and support them. So while they were supported by Turkey and China for their weapon systems and from the missiles and their so-called drones, where will they go for the nuclear support? So I believe that this not happened now. This happened immediately after 1999 because they were worried that if India becomes a nuclear power and India is so close to Russia, how would USA counterbalance? And if this statement is true, which has good reasons to be true, then there's a reason for Trump to say this 15 times, that he got the war stopped. Because without that, he would have been in serious trouble. He would have been in really serious trouble. Now, you can't discuss this in public saying General Indrabalan said this. But there is a fair amount of well beyond conjecture, but closer to reality of what the situation is. Do I answer your question reasonably, sir? Thank you.
Hello, sir. My name is Edha Patania. I'm from Sisha MR School. So, beautiful speech, by the way. It really just relays everything that happened during Operation Sindoor. So, my question is, now we know that the IMF did loan Pakistan $1 billion amidst the Operation Sindoor, which was obviously then also approved by the IMF furthermore. And right after the approval of the $1 billion fund, Pakistan launched an alleged strike on the Golden Temple, which was obviously prevented by the Sudarshan Chakra, which also violates the Geneva Convention's Protocol 1, Article 53, which basically protects the right to protect places of worship. It's what I want to understand is, amidst the entire conflict, why did India not react to any of this? They didn't take a stand in the IMF meeting when it happened. Because obviously all these meetings are behind closed doors, we don't know what goes on. But what was relayed to the media was that the Indian ambassador had little to no conjunction of what was going on in the meeting, and they really did not stop the discussions on the loan, right, which also allowed Pakistan to gain a really good strategic advance over India. So I want to understand why India really did not, use their force as a world power to, delay that sort of matter.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Is Mr. Skanda here? Is in UK? So would Mr. Chandramoli like to answer this question? As a former bureaucrat? That's a pass there. But anyway, I think the question has a very huge relevance here. You see, framing the question itself was so difficult for you, right? So imagine, no, you did a great job of it. So imagine the answer can be so complex. So let's give her a big hand first for framing the question. See, the geopolitics in the world is a very complex subject. If you attended that Bangladesh thing, we were trying to answer what is the geopolitics around Bangladesh burning. And it had so many facets of geopolitics as to who's actually influencing Bangladesh. Was it India? Was it USA? Was it China? Was it some other state? Who's playing what card? Who's where? So, there are no straight answers to such questions, to be very frank. But what I feel is that at that point in time, India was focused on what it wanted to do. And India was focused on getting the world on its side so that we can justify what we are doing. Unlike the US, India believes in being just in what it does. Just not in the just in time, wala just of the supply chain management, but just in terms of judgment. And this is India's psyche, this is India's character, whether collective or individual. We always want to justify what we did. And the 1920 war is justification of what we did. It's one of the most noblest just war ever fought in modern history, by the way. So as a result, we focus on conveying to the world that what we did is right, irrespective of what the other person is doing. So rather than focusing on why Pakistan was being given the aid, I think at that time India was focusing on what India was doing right. And I think that was a very good diplomacy which was followed. And diplomatically, I think that was the right step to done. What will it do with that kind of money, tell me? How much can it survive? How long can it survive? It has to again go back. That is one part. Let's look at the other part. Pakistan's economy is in state of ruins. All of us agree that? So it needs to survive. It has only two options. One, to go into a slow death, or to seek assistance. To seek assistance, it has only three options. One is from US, the second is from Middle East, and third is from China. Amongst these three, if assistance has to be given to Pakistan, which state would you prefer? You have the answer, right? You'll prefer US. You don't want China to go there and aid Pakistan and acquire its military assets. Already we are suffering, we are not able to go into POK because of some reason. If the question comes, I'll answer that. Because why we are not able to go into POK? It's a big question mark. So, between the devil and the deep sea, I think they've chosen the dolphin. In this case. Let's leave it to that. And in any case, even if you try to raise something, I don't think you can influence Trump. He does what he has to do, and in the most unpredictable manner. So while your question is very serious, but I think how India has responded has a fair amount of justification in the way it did at that point in time. Later we can keep fighting that, why it was done, but that was not the time to actually raise questions or put your energy into. It wouldn't have mattered. Yes, sir. Kindly pass the mic. And your name also, sir.
Hi, I'm Akshita from Sisha OMR.
Akshita, yeah.
Class 10.
You are Shisha OMR?
Yeah.
Okay. There's no Shisha and Adayar also. You're all OMR types. Yeah. Okay. My son studies in Adayar.
Oh.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
I would like to ask, how can India ensure that the terror networks targeted in Operation Sindoor do not re-emerge in the future?
Well, please say. Good question. So that's like asking, did Operation Sindoor succeed? That's the other way of asking, right? So if you ask what is the outcome of Operation Sindoor, did we succeed in achieving the political objective? The auxiliary question of that is, how can we stop Sindoor, or were we able to stop? So the question in all our minds is, will Operation Sindoor stop terror strikes on India. Okay, so that's what she's talking. Now, I'll answer it in two parts. One part is how can we stop? How can we ensure? Now, ensure is a very difficult word. I don't think we can ever ensure that Pakistan will never strike us. That is not going to happen. We can minimize the chance of Pakistan striking India. And that minimization is what India has achieved by Operation Sindoor. That I feel that after what we have stuck, after the will and capacity and capability we have demonstrated, I personally feel that at least for 1 year, we can be reasonably sure that there will not be a major terror strike in India. I may be wrong, but I'm confident. What happens after 1 year, no one knows. What situation changes, no one knows. How things happen, no one knows. Because now Pakistan knows we have clearly made a new normal that if you strike India anywhere, be it J&K or anywhere, we will strike anywhere in Pakistan. That is clear to them. That will hold them back. That's a deterrence, huge deterrence. That is one. Second is we are holding this overhang of what is called as water as a weapon. The Indus Water Treaty, which many of us feel that, oh, what can water do, is a huge weapon in hands of India, which we have never used. Even in 71 war, we did not use it as a weapon. The water kept flowing while blood was flowing on the other side. We never stopped the water. We lost 4,000 soldiers, still we never stopped water in any of these rivers. So, a combination of these two will keep Pakistan away from trying any misadventure in near future, near to medium term future. How they will respond, because ultimately even Pakistan is not in control of itself. Pakistan is controlled by forces which is beyond. India is controlled by a democracy. India is controlled by its people. India is controlled by people elected by the democracy. Pakistan is not controlled by such people. So how can you ever predict what they will do? And the terrorist organization in Pakistan are free to do what they want. They can just, and then someone decides to do a suicide bombing. How can you stop him? There is no way a suicide bomber can be stopped, because he decided to give up his life. You have not. You have to protect your life and lives of many others. The soldier who goes to fight, he has to protect himself and the others in a civilian area when he is fighting. Whereas the suicide bomber is decided that he has to take all lives and himself. Now, that's a complete paradoxical situation. Very difficult situation to handle. So, you can't ensure, but I'm confident that Sindoor will give us peace for at least one odd year.
So my name is Krishnan.
Yes, sir.
In the South Asia theatre, now that Sindoor has sent certain very clear messages on capabilities, what was feared is now been proved that we can do it. How does it change our equations militarily with our immediate neighbors and the not so immediate neighbors?
Fine, sir. I think India has established itself as a strong-willed power from what India was believed to be a soft power. Those who study geopolitics are aware that India was always known as a soft power. And the soft power had two connotations. One was that we used soft power diplomacy to win the world. Things like cricket, Bollywood, nice peace marches, talking good, talking of justice, talking of peace, yoga. All these are soft powers. Literature, drama, theatre. I mean, so many things. We have so much with India. So we used to export all this as a message of being someone who uses soft power to win the other side over. There were other antagonists who would say India is a soft power because we didn't have a national will. It was not using soft power, but it was being soft on many issues. Soft paddling. That's the other form of soft power. So India used to soft paddle on many things. India never put its foot down. But with Operation Sindoor, things have changed. We are no more non-aligned. We are now all aligned. And while we are all aligned, we have started putting our foot down on what is good for India, whether it is buying oil from Russia or Iran, whether it is now supporting reserve currency of a nation against the dollar, whether it is fighting the tariffs. So from Operation Sindoor, I think India got the feeling that it has not been exercising its power all this while. It is capable of, and world will listen. And that's what India learned and realized. I think that's a big achievement. And to me, as I see, sir, that this is going to position India as a recognizable power to be respected. But it will also cause one more thing, that it will make China that much more inimical. Because China will not want to see India's rise. China wants to dominate the world, definitely first wants to dominate the Asia. And the rise of India is definitely not giving comfort to China. And that will lead to already things like magnets not being given, the rare earth metals being stopped. All this is going to happen. So these are all kind of military capacity being hit when China says it's going to stop rare earth metals. You can't fly drones. I do drone technology all the time. So if there's a question on drone, I can even address how this affects our ability to fight the world. In fact, in CNN News 18, I made a statement. My opening statement was this when the anchor Rahul Shiv Shankar asked me, how did India fare in Operation Sindoor during the war? I don't know if someone has seen that video. And I said that very clearly. I said, India succeeded in Op Sindoor with assembled drones and imported parts. And this is the credit to our military. And this is only going to increase with the fact that India has shown its willpower. So China, on whom the world depends for rare earth metals, especially the solar cells, the flakes for making chips, and the rare earth metals to make the magnets, we have no choice. We are still dependent on them. We have now started searching, a little too late, but hopefully we'll find something. So India positions itself in a much better manner, but it has also created a little bit more difficult situation for itself with China. Whether China will start respecting India for this and therefore listen to us more in terms of the border agreements, etc., or whether it will put more pressure on India, it's a matter of so many other geopolitical situations on how much pressure is on Taiwan, what's happening in Malacca Strait, what's happening in Sunda Strait, how much pressure comes from US, what SCO does. There are so many more factors. But the fact remains that India has emerged as a strong nation, but at the same time also created certain threats for itself. Yes, ma'am. I think we'll ask lady a chance. Give a preference. Yeah, sir, sorry.
My name is Arvind. Thank you very much. It's been a great session. My question has to do with the loss of aircrafts and two parts. One, why is it why is it not being put out? It's not, after all, a measure of whether binary measure of whether India won or not, just because we did or didn't lose aircraft. Why the secrecy around the loss of aircraft? That was one. And secondly, with all knowledge picked up from watching TV, standoff missiles and all of that. So did the aircraft actually go across the into Pak airspace and they were shot down, or did those were they shot down in Indian airspace? How might India have lost aircraft?
Okay, good. So again, Chatham House rule applies. If I said that we lost 2 aircrafts, will that satisfy you? So it doesn't matter. Well, I can say for sure that this is the number because I've interacted with people inside. But it doesn't help you. I mean, how does it help the world? For a common man, it is of no matter. But if you agree in public that we lost 2 aircrafts in the military technology area, there are huge question marks on the capability of that aircraft. How it was shot down, who shot it down, at what range it was shot down, which missile hit it. So the questions on that aircraft's capability to have counter, the counter ECCM arrangements against missile defense, against its speed, against its capability, against detection thing, all this comes into question. And that's a huge debate that you would have possibly entered in the reading. So people want to admit that this happened so that they can home on to what exactly happened and decide on the weaknesses that Indian air defense aircrafts faces and has. And that's a huge intelligence giveaway. So we have to guard that at all cost on the numbers and how exactly it happened. That will be guarded. Whether you like it or not, you will never know. But I think in the quorum inside, I'm aware that we lost 2. And your question on, no, we did not go across. We were, I think, possibly using air-to-surface missiles. but the ranges of their S-400 equivalent is much more. And in today's warfare, I say this in my drone statements, that Tom Cruise will not come again. You know what I mean, right? These kids don't know who Tom Cruise is. You know what the statement means? What the statement means when Tom Cruise will not come again? You seen that movie Top Gun? The new Top Gun? Or that Indian version of, what is that movie? No, not War. Where, what is this guy? Hrithik Roshan in some film, no? Fighter. Yeah, Fighter. So that movie is all about dogfights, right? So days of dogfights are over. The missiles and drones have become so versatile and so precise that I don't think aircraft stand a chance to come each other and do this dogfight and dance in the air and kill each other, shoot down each other. The moment an aircraft is out, is such a huge weapon arsenal in the this thing, that a radar that captures it will not leave it unless you are a B-2 bomber. Even for B-2 bomber to come inside, Israel had to do SEAD and remove all the radars of Iran before even the B-2 bombers are known to be non-detectable to come in. So, therefore, sir, that what I know is that they had taken off. The missiles must have definitely hit them. There's no doubt about it. And that's what the lessons we learned. And thereafter, what the CDS said is very true. The tactical error was corrected because we then first, and we focused on destroying the radars, which supports their missile systems, and then we did what we had to do. Yeah, no, this lady has a question.
So
Yes,
just,
ma'am.
my name is Revati.
Revati.
Just two questions. One is, there's a lot of talk about our intelligence failure before Pahalgam happened. And people say there are still 150 terrorists lingering around in India. And you have very kindly mentioned that you will tell us why we are not taking POK.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, that's a long answer, it's not a short answer. But if you have the time, I can. We have the time? Please do a death stop whenever you want to stop. So, well, was it an intelligence failure in Operation Sindoor? In straight answer, yes. It is, definitely. It goes without saying. Whether it doesn't take Rahul Gandhi to say that. I think we all can say that. As Indians, we must say that. I have no doubt in my mind. Because why would, in a place like Pahalgam, which is open to tourists, we as Indians allow foreign terrorists to come and hit Indian tourists? Military being hit is understandable, because military is expecting it, and that intelligence is always there. Military sometimes, it's a game of, who gets the intelligence first. But the way tourists were massacred, I think it's an intelligence failure, and that goes without saying. Now, that the question doesn't stop there. Is it possible to avoid such failures? That's the question. So, if I have to give you a simple example, I think the most networked and the best intelligence agency in the world, if you all agree, it's Mossad. Right? Israeli one. Sometime it was the British one, the SIS or something. What is that? Yeah, MI, correct. But MI is now gone, finished. It is the Mossad which is the strongest networked intelligence agency, which is technologically superior. They use everything on this earth to do things, whether from dark web to deep state to dark state. I mean, whatever they have to use, they do everything. Huh? And Epstein, yes. They do everything. But despite all that, what happened on September 7th? October 7th, yeah, good. It was massacre of Mossad's intelligence. How did this happen? The world is watching. With impunity, people are coming in motorcycles, in gliders, drones are coming and killing almost 1,200 Palestinians in broad daylight. Sorry, Israel is in broad daylight. And military is not even responding. So where is that? So what happens is that whatever intelligence apparatus you create, there will always be loopholes. One, loopholes also happens because of political situations. Now, when I say political, it involves the politics involves the people. Politics is not just the politicians. I mean, without people, there is no politics. Let's face facts. So, when India is trying to bring peace into Kashmir, slowly and slowly you have to pull out security forces and give more and more chance for peace to prevail by itself. To show that, not only just show, to help the ecosystem, creation of ecosystem where peace is there by itself and not is enforced peace. So while military would never want to be in Kashmir, to be very frank, I would want all my military people to be in their barracks with their families, but we have to be there because we have to ensure peace, if not enforce it at some places. So if you keep the military all the time, all over, I don't think the tourists even want to go. Imagine a situation where if you, the moment you entered Kashmir, every checkpost I start stopping you, every checkpost I start, what is it called, frisking you, and everywhere you go there is some gunman standing next to you. Would you enjoy the Pahalgam scenery? You will not. So that is one way to enforce security. The other way is to have hidden means of ensuring that this is fully secure area where civilians are coming. But so to say that we possibly gave peace too much of a chance. We possibly thought that the Pakis will not respond like this. We possibly thought that they will at least not hit the civilians in this manner. Because that has never happened in the past where tourists have been stuck. Amarnath Yatra, some incidents have happened. But a plain tourist being stuck, because that is a lifeline of J&K, tourism. Without that, they have nothing else. So it was known that the J&K population who survive, not just thrive on tourism, will not allow tourists to be hit. And this not happened. I mean, I went into Kashmir in 1998 to fight the militancy. And even then, in the peak of militancy, tourists were never hit. So I think we were a little complacent. So it was a combination of intelligence failure and complacency and the desire to showcase to the world that without the military there is peace. So this was taken advantage of by the inimical forces and they stuck. We have learned some lessons. How long we are able to rephrase our requirements and position it, it's time to see. But I think, as I said, I'm giving it a year. At least for 1 year, I'm confident something like this will not happen. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, second question, yeah. Yeah, so POK. Yeah, I would love to go to POK and capture it, to be very frank, if I was given a chance. I mean, that's the least we can do to straighten the crown of India, which is not happening for a very long time. Put across that slide which shows those 21 targets. Yeah, that's because now it is Jammu and Kashmir, no? Yeah, but it's one state now. So, we want to call that this part of J&K, not just Kashmir. That's the change in terminology. So if you see this, where is POK? POK is all this area. So this is the LOC. All of us know this is the LOC. This used to be the ceasefire line after 1948 war. And after 1971, in the Shimla Agreement, this was converted to LOC, line of control. And that goes on like that, then the AGPL, and then, of course, all those things happen. So POK, all this we call it as POK, this entire area. Right? Now, what has happened is that China has come up with something called as the Road and Belt Initiative, RBI. Under the RBI initiative, they have created CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. This China-Pakistan Economic Corridor starts from across POK, it runs like this. Skadu is all here. It runs somewhere like this and runs along Pakistan and goes down to, it starts from a place called Kashgar in the eastern province of China and goes down to a port called as Gwadar. Why this was created? This was created because the biggest weakness of China is oil. World has given China everything that God can imagine, except oil. They have to depend on the West Asia for oil, or Russia, or US. And their entire oil, and China is the largest consumer of oil, though it has no oil, goes through the Malacca Strait. Which is Malacca Strait? The one next to Singapore. That is between Singapore, Indonesia. That strait is called Malacca Strait. So it comes from Strait of Hormuz or West Asia, wherever it has to come from. Ultimately, to reach China, it has to either go through Malacca Strait or it has to go down south of Australia and go to Sunda Strait. Now, going down and going across Sunda Strait will cost the same oil double of what it costs taking through Malacca Strait, plus the uncertainties. Now, Malacca Strait is one of the most heavy trafficked shipping channel. Has anyone traveled through Malacca Strait in a ship or a boat? You traveled in a ship or a boat? Cruise ship. Ship. Has anyone traveled in a boat? I have. When you travel in a puny boat in Malacca Strait like this, no? You have huge oil tankers that are standing tall like this. All of them passing next to each other as close as sometimes 50 meters. That is the kind of strait that is. That is the traffic that runs there. And today, India dominates Malacca Strait. India has converted Andaman Nicobar into a flotilla by creating what is called as the Andaman Nicobar Command. We have Army, Navy, Air Force, all three located there, and we are sitting right at the mouth of Malacca Strait. Little distance away though, but enough to control that. And China knows that if China did something to us in the north, and if we create enough force projection in that area, we are capable of blocking that Malacca Strait, at least to a fair duration. The blockage is never permanent. If you block Malacca Strait, because India now has 2 aircraft carriers, and therefore we have force projection capability. Then Natarajan sir will bear with me to understand what is a force projection capability. So when we talk of Navy's capabilities, the Navy has brown water capability and blue water capability. Some people also call it green water capability. And then beyond blue water capability is the force projection capability. That means brown water capability is your economic zone. Not even economic zone, your territorial waters. So if your Navy can secure your territorial waters, it's called as a brown water Navy. If your Navy can secure your exclusive economic zone, it's called as a blue water Navy. But if a Navy can project a force well beyond its economic zone into another area, sustain it there for a longer time, and deploy it as an amphibious operation to capture some area, that's called as force projection capability, which today is there only with America. They have 7 of these so-called fleets. Even China is still developing it because they have not come up with all those many aircraft carrier fleets. So India has at least one force projection capability, which if it can deploy at the mouth of Malacca Strait, China will find it difficult to import oil. And China cannot fight a war without oil except a standoff war like what it did. But that's not a full-scale war. So while it has, that's why China was the first to develop their second artillery called as a missile system. And they have one of the largest arsenals of missiles because they know that they can be squeezed on oil. So they develop these capabilities. Now coming back to CPEC, why China created CPEC? One of the main reason is so that they can take oil directly from Gwadar through the POK into China. It was unimaginable. In 2010, when they were planning this CPEC, beyond that, I was in the army that time, and I used to be in Army War College, and we were studying strategy. And we did a 2-front war. We played a 2-front war of 2020. In that we said, if this comes up, what will happen? And we came with clear conclusion that if CPEC comes up, our chance of recapturing POK will go. And this has been submitted as a finding. And now that China is sitting there, they have clearly made the CPEC, you entering POK will definitely threaten their strategic interests. And if you're ready for that, we can go to POK. If you're not ready for that, we have to think twice before you take back POK. That's why I said the least I was expecting was Ajipir. At least strategically we can rectify. And why I said that is because this is India's weakness. This 19 number that you see. And why is it India's weakness? Because this is where the chicken neck lies, chicken neck, this area and this area. Because the national highway NH1 and NH44 passes like this. It goes very close to this area. From here it goes. So this chicken's neck is as close as 20 to 30 kilometers from our NH1 1 and NH-44, which supports the whole of Kashmir and whole of Ladakh. And Pakistan's offensive force called as the Army Reserve North is located in Rahimyar Khan in this entire area, waiting to strike India here at the neck, literally at the neck. And if they strike here and cut off this entire area, our Kashmir gets cut off and Ladakh gets cut off. And this is known fact. I'm not shaking something national secret. These are debated in public domains. So therefore, Hajipir Pass capture would have prevented an immediate strike from coming in, because they would have to cross Hajipir Pass before striking us. And India would have that lead time to stop the forces or whatever, fight about it. So if now you go into POK anywhere here, anywhere there, we are not in a very, I don't think we would like to, at this point in time, checkmate China on this front. At some point in time, yes, if you are able to convince China that they can retain CPEC and let India also use it, if that diplomatic arrangement happens, I think that door will still open. It's not a foreclosed option, but currently it's not an open option. Yes, sir.
Sir? Yeah. Hi, sir. I am Venkat from, I'm a student at IIT Madras. So my question has two parts to it. The first part is with it's related to asymmetric warfare. For example, in the Israel-Iran warfare, you saw both sides hitting oil refineries, and even in the conflict in Ukraine, you saw Ukraine using cheap drones to attack the Tupolev bombers, which perhaps have cost millions of dollars. And why did we not use the precedent that Pakistan attacked civilian infrastructure, including religious sites, to bomb their economic targets and instead of military targets? Because aircraft can always be bought again, but economic targets like the port of Karachi would mean that Pakistan comes to a standstill overnight, and that would also mean a lot of social unrest.
Yeah.
So that's my first part of the question. The second part is with the what is the long-term posture that India should take or probably will take? For example, if you see China in the South China Sea or in the Taiwan Strait, they almost conduct an exercise every day. You hear about aggressive posture that China takes over the Taiwan Straits. And why is it that we are not taking any sort of aggressive posture, whether it comes to the Pakistan border or even with respect to Sri Lanka, where China owns the Hambantota port? Why is it that we are not actively provoking without actually provoking? Because that means that it also signals to the entire world that you are ready to strike whenever you want. So that,
Okay,
that's
the question was so long that I forgot your name.
Venkat.
Venkat, yeah. Hi, Venkat. Thank you. Good. So there are two questions, and the second question is a very long answer. I'll request for another session to answer that second question. I'll answer the first question. Right. The war that was designed this time, unlike the 1971 war or 65 war, was an escalatory model. The different wars of war fighting, different ways of war fighting. There is something called as, India had something called as cold start strategy for the war. What is this cold start strategy? That India has got offensive corps and defensive corps. So what are the defensive corps? We have the 14 Corps that is in Kashmir and Ladakh. We have the 15 Corps which is in Kashmir. We have the 16 Corps which is in Jammu. Then we have the 10 Corps, then 12 Corps, and like that till whole of Gujarat is, they are defended by these corps. Each corps has about 3 divisions and some other strike elements, which protects or defends any offensive operations by the Pakistani forces. India also has something called as the strike corps, the 1 Corps and the 2 Corps and the 21 Corps. Plus now you have a mountain corps also being raised for the northeast. So these 3 corps are the strike corps, which are not meant for defending the nation. It is meant for going deep into the offensive state and capturing military targets. And of course, hitting at their offensive formations. Pakistan has 2 strike corps, the Army Reserve North and Army Reserve South. So India's strategy, military strategy all this time was to create a cold start when I was in the army, that the moment you get a political clearance to strike, this is the outcome of the attack on parliament. So when the parliament attack happened in 2001, yeah, at that time I was in Chandigarh and we were mobilized. overnight to go to the border. The army was mobilized and the armored formations were mobilized, and we all moved into different parts of Rajasthan and Punjab. But we stopped 50 meters short of crossing the border. 50 meters. Why? Because it was decided that we will not cross the border. And then we switched over to defensive posture immediately after showing so much of offensive will that I myself laid 14,000 mines in the Fazilka and Rajasthan sector of Ganganagar. 14,000 mines. Okay, so that is, so where there the lesson we learnt was that why we did not go at that time? It was because we suddenly realized we were not prepared for a strike at short notice. Like Manik Shah asked for 6 months. And we went to war, it was not escalatory model. Manik Shah said, give me 6 months, I'll give you Bangladesh. There is no escalatory model there. We put in everything on Bangladesh, I mean that time East Pakistan, and in West Pakistan. That's not escalatory model, that's called as wholesome offensive, where the whole nation, it's a whole nation approach. Similar thing we thought we can do in 1999 by taking Pakistan by surprise and doing this, but we realized that the armed forces was not prepared. I mean, it's not the armed force not prepared. We didn't have the tanks in place, we didn't have the machinery in place, we didn't have the ammunition in place. I mean, for so much of neglect had happened on the preparedness of the armed forces, other than the soldier, nothing else was ready. Now the arsenal was ready, I am telling you this. The tanks came to a screeching halt, half the tanks didn't move. Because we didn't have spare parts, we didn't have ammunition, we didn't have, so much was lacking. This is a fact of the matter. None of this is public though. So some of this is again Chatham House rule applies. So that was called a cold start strategy. That means you are cold sitting and suddenly you say go and strike on a full offensive. This one was an escalatory model. That means you graduate your response because India by nature is a defensive state. We have not gone to declare that we are an offensive nation, though our Pakistan doctrine talks of what is called as punitive deterrence, the new doctrine. With China, it's not punitive deterrence, it's a different doctrine. So when you talk of punitive doctrine, we want to punish Pakistan punitively for what it does. In our doctrine, we are not writing anywhere about capturing Pakistan. I don't think Indian military doctrine or the national doctrine, anywhere it is there. I don't think anyone would like it also. Given a chance, I don't think any of us wants to own Pakistan, right? Anyway, on the lighter vein. So in the escalatory model, what you said is right. If May 13th had come, maybe we would have struck Karachi, but probably we stopped before that. And that's precisely what I said, why the flotilla was sitting in Arabian Sea to possibly the next level. So first level was terrorist strike. So see how India tries to justify what it does. This is what you got to appreciate. One, first you strike the terrorist targets and tell them to stop, they don't stop. Then you strike the military target or the military target, they don't stop. Then you strike near military strategic target, they don't stop. Next level would have been definitely economic targets. For sure, I mean, that's what I can guess. So that's how escalatory model works. I hope that answers your question. Second question will not deal with, it's a huge answer. We'll request for a second session.
Operation Sindoor, we have one of the world's second biggest refinery next to the border. I always wonder, how come that, and we also have one of India's biggest ports just about 100 miles from the border. How come that nothing happens to these things? Is there some kind of tacit agreement between countries?
Between Pakistan and India, you're talking about?
Yeah, you have Mundra and then you have the Jamnagar refinery, you have the SR refinery.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest in the world now.
Yeah, true. So no, I don't think there is any tacit understanding with Pakistan, not at all. No chance. It is just that Pakistan knows that the retaliation will be huge if they strike our economic, assets. And they don't have matching economic capability. So you can strike one refinery of India, 2 refineries of India, we'll still have 10 more refineries functioning. But if we strike 3 refineries of Pakistan, they are done for. They can't afford that. So there is no tacit understanding. There is tacit acceptance that they cannot afford to do it. That's why the 1,000 cuts. Yes, please. That's why the 1,000 cuts, precisely. That's why the 1,000 cuts.
Hello, sir. I'm Harshit from Shishya MR, class 9. Were there any logistical challenges during the operation that, if addressed differently, could have improved the outcomes?
Logistics challenges. Wow. Uh, yeah, this war was not so much about logistics as I see it, because it was more of a standoff war. And for supporting the standoff war, I think India did have a fair logistics. Where we lagged was in the drone technology logistics. And since I do a lot of drone technology, I want to also mention this, that India fought the war without a strong technological support for drones. Even today, we don't have, let me tell you. Even today, if we fight 2.0, we'll be depending on foreign drones to fight the war. And I've made this statement public very clearly. I've met the defense secretary and told him this. I've met the aviation secretary and told him this. I told him what is the threat to nation. I've written on BT, Business Times, extensively on why this drone rule 21 is almost like anti-India. It's terribly drafted. Okay, at that time it may have been drafted to support the drone industry in India. But I think we need to redraft it to support the Indian drone industry. I hope you understand the difference between the two.
Becoming a developed nation by the I'm connecting this dot with our current education system to the IITs. Is our IITs are well enough to develop prototype for updating our defense systems? Prototype for updating our defense systems.
Yeah. Good. So I think since I deal in technology, I'm quite competent to answer your question. I think we have talent in India. And not just IITs, let me tell you this. We have a lot of talent outside IITs also. IITs are, I think, overstated. Because I deal with students who are outside IIT, they are brilliant children, just that they couldn't make it to IITs. That's all it is. Okay? So let's not think that IIT is the only people doing work for this nation. There are other universities too. I'll not name them for whatever the good reason, bad reason is. And there are people who are outside engineering and they are doing some brilliant work in engineering. You heard of Agnikul? What's Agnikul? The two founders of Agnikul, they are not technologists. One guy is the jeweller's son. The other guy is Srinath. Srinath knows a little bit of technology because he was sitting next to that American airspace. They are creating one of the India's best technology. They are not IITians. All it takes is a will to do something and the commitment. Rest will happen. By the way, Agnikul became the first company in the world to do a 3D printing of the largest ever single rocket engine. Let's give them a big hand for this. And they have got a US patent for this. First ever company in the world to get a US patent on single 3D printed rocket engine. That means it has 0 point of failure. Why 3D printing is so important, those who understand technology should know. If you make an assembled engine, which is used by like your fuel engine, your diesel engine or petrol engine, that is made of many parts. And you have connectors, you have walls, you have this and you have that, you have welding, you have nuts, bolts, so many things are there. So every part is a prospective point of failure. When you do a 3D printing single monolithic engine, you remove all the point of failures. That's something amazing. So what I'm trying to say is we have the talent and the technology. It is just that we have not trusted our people. Even today I'm telling you that for some reason we want to keep buying foreign. Why? Because we are not ready to fail Indian. Technology doesn't come just like that. It comes after many failures. The Indian ecosystem especially, and who has to support this? It has to be supported not by the government alone. The people who invest in the so-called startups who are trying to put their family jewels and create these startups. But where are these so-called patient capital? Hardly any. I deal with so many investors. They come to me for advice. What they want, they want Lahori Thanda to invest. You know what is Lahori Thanda? Okay. So what is Lowry Thanda? Some two little students, I mean, hats off to what they did, and two very sharp boys in marketing. In North, you get to drink something called as Jaljeera, which is a little sour taste and all that. And it's very nice to drink in North. It's made of amchur is also there. A lot of things, imli, meeta, all that put to Jaljeera. What they did, they made a Jaljeera concoction, like the Coca-Cola concoction, and added soda to it. And made nice bottle packs and started selling it. It became an instant hit. And in 3 years' time, their valuation is 200 crores. What do they have? No technology, nothing. It is just Thanda, which is little better than Coke to drink, that's all, in health-wise. So there are so many companies investing that, but you're holy Thanda. But if one of you were to make a startup which is going to bring the Navik satellite constellation to develop our own India satellite communication, you will not find an investor. Because one, he doesn't understand what is technology. Secondly, he knows before revenue comes, it will take me 4 years. तो मैं कैसे जाऊंगा क्रिकेट मैच देखने? This is the problem. So it's a fact of the matter that in India, the investing ecosystem and then the government grants. The government grants are invariably routed through DSTs and DRDOs and which has its own routes. A lot of improvement has come, there is no doubt. Huge stage forwarding has come, the IDEX is there, the technology development fund, so many things are happening, there is no doubt. And I think recently government has announced 1 lakh crore to give it to private sector directly for developing technology. If they are able to identify and allow failures to happen, you have to accept failures. Only then you will create huge technologies. If you don't do that, we will keep waiting for only success technology come, and that will only come from abroad, not in India.
Just a quick question,
Yeah,
Anna, more from a civilian perspective.
Someone is asking.
That is, I'm here.
Yes,
here. Right in
Oh,
front.
sorry, sir. Sorry. Oh, yes, sir.
You know, the Jewish lobby appears to be so powerful that they've got US to support Israel no matter what they do. We do have a powerful Indian lobby also in the US. What is it that we can do to activate them to protect our interests all over the world?
I think.
And by the way, and just a quick point, Dr. Shivthanu Pillai is in IIT Madras Research Park. He is working on getting 3D printed BrahMos missile.
Lovely.
That's an experiment that's going on.
So, the Indian diaspora definitely in US can be very, very influential, no doubt about it. Influencing American policies, they are doing to the extent they can, and they can do a lot more of it. But these American policies influence and getting America to support us in case-to-case basis, because ultimately they will only look after the national interest, is an ongoing process, and it's a changing dynamics. If this Indian diaspora in US can really do something for us, which is permanent in nature, is to develop India's capability rather than developing India's image. Because capability stays, image doesn't stay. Why I say that? What India needs is technology and patient capital to become a superior nation, not an image. And that can only happen if you trust these students sitting here who can develop deep technology, bring that money that they have created rather than investing it in US. Let it invest in Indian startups, mentor them, support them. I'm creating an organization called as SIDAR, by the way. This is called as SIDAR.forum. It stands for Confederation of Indigenous Drones, Autonomous Platforms and Robots. This SIDAR, I already have 100 people who have signed up on LinkedIn, which has leading people from the Indian industry. I'm also trying to get Mr. Shivthanu Pillai. I'm trying to get the previous ISRO chief into the system. I'm going to bring in the best minds in the country into this SIDAR. The SIDAR will create something called as FIDAR. FIDAR stands for Federation. While SIDAR will be a discussion forum, democratic forum, FIDAR will be something which will drive the indigenization of these 3 platforms, which are the futuristic platforms in any, whether civilian use or military use. Indigenous of these. I'm going to drive it to the best of ability that I can come. Anyone who wants to be part of this story or part of the support mechanism, you're welcome to connect me on LinkedIn and join this. And what we need is people, diaspora, wherever in the world, while you keep doing the image building and lobbying, etc., but quietly and surely make sure that Indians develop technology in India. That's the only way you can become a superpower, no other way. I hope I answered my questions.
So I'm Lokesh. My question: India is the protected by soldiers who give their life and destroy all enemies. Congratulate to India. India is a caste that is you unless to anyone. How can you destroy the people who destroy themselves and their honor of Indian by destroying the monks?
Oh, is that an AI-generated question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So one more question, sir. One more question.
Wait, let me finish. So, I call this the new generation as Gen AI. You know what is Gen AI? We had Gen X, we had Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I don't know what we were. We were extinct Gen. Gen extinct. Okay. So this the new generation, including my children, called as Gen AI, because even to get them to think, they use AI. So while Gen AI actually stands for generative AI, not generation AI, Gen AI stands for generative AI. Like, there are many forms of AI, so Gen AI is generative AI. But I kind of use it as a humor to address newest students who use AI for everything today. So, frankly, I'm still trying to struggle what your question was. Seriously, can you just put in simple words? This girl next to him. Okay, no problem. I'm very candid in what I speak, don't mind. I do all my talks candid like this. I don't take aid of anything. So if I'm candid, it must be for a reason. It's for your good.
Sir, this is Darshini from Presidency College. So thank you for giving your time, sir. So actually, do you think India have used its soft power wisely on Operation Sindoor? Because I don't think so, as we planned and we made an attempt to grey-list Pakistan from FATP, but we couldn't able to do it so. So can we really say Operation Sindoor was a success?
I think in Operation Sindoor, there was no need for use soft power. There's no place for soft power in Operation Sindoor. It's pure hard power. Soft power was possibly used to influence certain minds, but I don't think we used any of the soft power ability then, because I told you what are the ingredients of soft power. Ingredients of soft power is goodness, niceness, humility, hospitality, cricket, yoga, cinema, culture. These are all ingredients of soft power. None of this can be used when there is war is on. What happens is hard negotiations at the time of war and demonstrating your will in what you want to do, whether it is the foreign ministry or the defense ministry. They operate hand in glove. So that is what actually makes a difference. No soft power. Soft power helps only in peace. Doesn't help during war.
So but we wanted to say the word that we oppose terrorism. So that's why we sent leaders to different parts of the.
That's not soft power. That's hardly conveying what we want to do in a very hard manner. It's not soft power. And we sent the best guys. And I think Shashi Tharoor did a good job. Right? That's really hard statement of what we did. That's not soft power. That is clear foreign application of foreign policy and what stating what you want to do. It's not going to say that, listen, we make nice movies, so don't tell, don't think we wanted to actually attack. We never said anything like that. We said we wanted to do this. What's the doubt? Yeah. I think
General has been on his feet for more than 1.5 hours, so we should give him a break. A loud round, yes.
I want to take 1 minute now. Can I have the slide? You closed it. Okay. I want to, since sir mentioned about, Mr. Chandramouli mentioned about this play that I do. So can I take 1 minute of all of you? Sure. Okay, thank you so much. So I do a play on Indo-Pak war. I have kind of produced this play and curated this play. The play is on how India did the military victory in 1971 war. The play brings live the war itself. I'm sure Sir Minister Chandramouli has seen this play. But I have now changed the title of the play. The play is no more called Operation Vijay, the liberation of Bangladesh. I now call it Indo-Pak War 1971, a military victory wasted. because it is contextual. It is contemporary to what is happening in Bangladesh today. And that play, the director of the play sitting right next to all of you here is one gentleman called as Mr. Sabri. Can you please stand up? He's the one who's directed this awesome play. He's had 3 shows in Tamil, and the next show is happening on the 24th in North Ghana Sabha. It's already a packed house. I don't think there are any seats for you to invite any one of them. But if anyone is really interested in seeing this play, you can sponsor him, he'll give you a seat. He's open to sponsorship, by the way. And let's sponsor this because we want to do a second show for children. So if you create enough money, if you create enough this thing, we'll do a second show immediately after that show so that we can bring in a lot of school children and make them, especially from government schools, who can watch the play and learn of India's amazing victory of 1971 war and why we are going through what we are going through in Bangladesh today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been wonderful time speaking to all of you. And what a wonderful audience. I don't think I would ask for anything more than this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was not one of those normal chest thumping, lectures where we say we won, they lost. I mean, it was a thinking general's presentation. He took us step by step through the entire process, and I think we are all very, very fortunate that, we got this opportunity to take away something rather than just reading, oh, we lost 5 planes, they lost 2 planes, and, this F-35 is a bad plane, and, the Chinese technology failed and things like that. I think we have a lot more to know, to understand, and such talks actually take all this, dumb it down for us so that we can understand what a complicated thing this whole operation was. So thank you very much, sir. And we really enjoyed that, and I'm sure the applause will bear me out. Just a few housekeeping announcements. Our next event is on the 16th of August. It's Madras Art Deco Architecture. Sujata Shankar will be with us. On 19th August, we have a diplomat, a very renowned diplomat, Rakesh Sood. He talks to us about global economic and political disruptions, geopolitical disruptions, and India. And on 27th of August, we have Beyond the Ballot by T.S. Krishnamurti. So these are covering a wide genre of events. I'm sure you would support us by turning up in large numbers like you have done today. Thank you very much. And thanks once again to General Indrabalan for that very fascinating lecture. Thank you.